Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing great and welcome to this week's art lesson. This is Miss Morale here speaking. As you see, today we're going to talk about composition. Last week you drew some objects, and this week I want you to put some objects into one single composition. But before starting, I want you to learn about the rules of composition, and then you will be more confident to create a composition out of your objects. Here I will talk to you about rules one by one, and I'll try to draw some examples for you. Okay, this is our first rule, overlapping. Overlapping is placing your objects slightly over one another. So, as we drew glass last week, I tried to show you here with mostly cylinders and some geometrical forms. And here you see I'm just drawing my objects slightly on top of each other, and this will get the eye to move from one element to another on your drawing. And there I will show you some ways you shouldn't do. Here is the first one. There is no overlapping and the objects are just touching each other from the edge. This is not a good way to create your composition. This just looks so flat and not 3D at all. And this is also something you should avoid. Isolation. You shouldn't give huge spaces between your objects. And also this one. Don't use, so you learn how to draw an object with the center line. Here you see these two objects have the exact same center line. This is also something you should avoid. Even you're overlapping, this is not working. This also makes your objects look very flat and two-dimensional. Okay, our second rule is rotating. First, I'll show you what you shouldn't do. So, for instance, you only have glasses and some cylindrical objects in your composition. So, what you shouldn't do, you shouldn't place them all in the same exact straight line. Like you shouldn't line them up with the edge of your paper. Instead, some of them can look at different directions and different sides, as you see here. Just place your objects with an angle. This will create a more dynamic composition. This is how it'll look better. Okay, let's move on our third rule. It's size or variation. So here, try not to have all of your elements at the same exact size. You can have taller objects, shorter but wider objects. This is a good way to use variation in your composition. If you'd have color, you can also use color to create variation. There is also a bad example. They all are at the same exact size. Not using variation or not rotating your object just creates a boring composition. So try to use variation and try to rotate your objects. Okay, our fourth and last rule, off-center your objects. Here I'm going to draw you two rectangles. You can imagine it as your sketchbooks or your papers to show better how to off-center objects. Again, I'll show you how to do it and how to don't. So this one on the right, this is what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't create your composition exactly at the center of your paper, and don't create a symmetrical composition like this one. It just makes your composition look very flat and two-dimensional. This is something we should avoid. We want it to look realistic. And here, if you remember, you can use the rule of thirds. You can divide your page into 3 parts, and you can place the center of your object on one of these lines. And you should go from big to small, basically, to create a good composition which has all of the rules: overlapping, rotating, variation, and off-centered objects. And lastly, you can add a line to create something like a table. This will help your objects look like sitting on somewhere, not just floating on the air. And yeah, this is your task for this week. I want you guys to go ahead and draw an object composition using mostly glasses, but you can also use any objects you have at home. That's totally fine. Use rules of composition and create an object composition. Okay, thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next week. If you want to show me your drawings and artworks, you can email me. See you guys next week. Bye, guys.